What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Dwayne. I'm here to bring you some Ravens related content today. And today we are talking about the Ravens defense. Yes, we are talking about the Ravens defense. First, let me give my congratulations to Mike MacDonald on being named the new Ravens defensive coordinator this year. He spent last year in Michigan with John Harbaugh's brother, Jim Harbaugh, and he did an excellent job in Michigan, as what I saw in Michigan. So I'm ready to give you a little bit of breakdown of Mike MacDonald a little bit before I break the defense down. So I'm gonna give you a little of his history, Mike MacDonald's history. He was an intern for the Ravens in 2014. From 2015 to 2016, he was a Ravens defensive assistant. In 2017, he was a defensive back coach here in Baltimore. From 2018 to 2020, he was the linebackers coach for the Ravens. As you know, last year he spent being the defensive coordinator for the Michigan Wolverines college football team. And then this year he just got named the defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. So I just hope he brings what he brought to Michigan last year. He brings back to Baltimore, and now that he's the head of the defense, he can basically run his own style of defense. And after the firing of Wink, I think it's time for a change, man. And hopefully he dialed up what he dialed up in Michigan, man, to get them to the college football playoff last year, even though they fell a little bit short. But let's hope he bring that back to Baltimore, because we, as Ravens fans, need a top-tier defense again like it was basically in 2019 and years past. So first of all, let me get started with the front four. I have notes right here, so I'm going to read off some of my notes. So interior pass rush. There wasn't a lot of interior pass rush in 2021. And I understand that we had Calais Campbell, Brandon Williams, Justin Matabike, and players like that. But they just didn't get the job done like as they should have. But I'm not going to blame that solely on them, because, we used Calais Campbell more than we needed to. And age basically was kicking him in the rear end, but like, it's almost that time. So, I mean, he really couldn't do it by himself. And Brandon Williams was inconsistent as it can be, where he had games where he didn't really do nothing. Justin Matabike was a guy that came in the training camp of 2021, and it was like, this guy can be it, can be that next Haloti Ngata for us. He can be that next, basically like Calais Campbell, basically the push the pocket and from basically the A and B gaps on the front line. And we needed that, so there was no front line. And don't get me wrong, we did have one of the best, I think it was top two rushing game defenses this year. So I mean, that was a very good positive about that. So that's all I asked for, just more interior pass rush. Don't be afraid to go out there, Eric DeCosta, and get, spend on an interior pass rusher or draft an interior pass rusher, because we're going to need it. Because we don't know if Calais Campbell will be back. That's to be determined, if he'll be back. And it's not looking like Brandon Williams will be back. So basically, the only interior defensive lineman you have on contract is Justin Matabike. And he just need to improve, to be that guy, as I should say, to be that guy. And it wouldn't just take him. And as I stated the other day in the offensive breakdown, where I told you about Kevin Zeitler, he was in the hospital room working on his craft and stuff like that. And some stuff just don't come like on the field. And it just comes like off the field, just training your brain to do certain stuff so that as though you can improve yourself and be better at what you do. For me being a former athlete, I mean, I know that. I mean, it takes more than what you do on the field to be great. Just ask the greats in any sport. Look at Aaron Donald, people like that, Vita Vea, Ndamukong Suh. It takes also practice and, muscle memory. Calais Campbell was basically the only bright spot on the defensive line. So I mean, it was like, after Calais Campbell was like, what do we do? And then Calais Campbell got hurt for a couple games. It was like, we don't have it, because Brandon Williams really didn't bring it because inconsistent. I really want Justin Matabike to be the next Calais Campbell, because it's like, Calais Campbell was brought here 2 or 3 years ago, to be a mentor to people like Justin Matabike and help, help us win now. So, and I think Justin Matabike kind of should have can gain from what Calais Campbell brings to the table here in Baltimore and what he brought to here in Baltimore. And Brandon Williams as well. I'm not going to derail Brandon Williams because Brandon Williams was an excellent player here in Baltimore. So I'm not going to derail from that. The rush defense ranked second with allowing 84.5 yards per game rushing. And that was pretty good, knowing that we had basically one of the worst defenses in the league this year. And we couldn't stop nobody in the fourth quarter and just at the third. But I'm going to hit on that a little bit later on. Now I'm gonna go basically, like I said, I'm gonna stay on the front four. Odafe Owe, promising kid, as they said, he was a project coming out of the draft. We drafted him at 32. It was basically we traded Orlando Brown for Owe. So what I'm gonna say on Owe is he had flashes this year. That Kansas City game, he had big flashes. Got to the quarterback, got to Patrick Mahomes, was basically making his trade piece look bad, even though he didn't know the system at the time. But he made Orlando Brown Jr. and that offensive line look bad, and he showed that he can be a dominant pass rusher here in Baltimore for the next decade or 15 years, 15 years here in Baltimore. And we need somebody like that because we didn't have that ever since Suggs left, basically. I want to see him get consistent at what he do because he really isn't. Like this year, he wasn't. I understand he was a rookie, but consistency matters in the league. And if when his time is come for him to get paid, times like this, he's gonna have to grow and be like, okay, if I want to get paid like a top dollar pass rusher, I'm gonna need to keep doing this, get better every day. Take advice from Justin Houston, who I'm gonna talk about next. Take advice from, as they say, Yoda. Learn from Justin Houston because Justin Houston have had sustained success here in the NFL when he was with Kansas City, when he was with Indianapolis. He have had success, and I think success helps success because he can do it. Training camp, he was talking about how how Justin Houston made Owe do certain stuff, and it was like, okay, I need to train my mind to do something because there was a video out there, him, training on a little pad where making pass rush moves and stuff like that. That's another thing. I think he should develop a pass rush move set where he won't just be subject to one or two moves, like basically every pass rush, or because look at players on the outside that can get like Von Miller that can get it done, and he can basically hit you with 2 and 3 and 4 or 5 moves in one set, and so he can get to the quarterback and get sacks, which we need here in Baltimore because sacks need to be a big thing here in Baltimore if we're going to be blitzing. So I should say that. Justin Houston, did he live up to the expectation? I mean, I'm gonna say yes, but I'm gonna say no at the same time. I'm gonna say yes because it was like he was brought here to be basically a mentor to Owe and be on the other side because he was just like basically a last resort because you didn't have anybody because the Ravens weren't really big spenders last year in free agency and basically in the draft. I mean, you can't be spenders in draft, but I mean, draft capital, So it was like Justin Houston was brought here to be that guy, basically, that veteran to bring pass rush and help Owe, help Jalen Ferguson and Tyus Bowser, who I'm going to talk about next. Bring them, to help them to grow into being dominant pass rushers that Baltimore has been known to have. So, next thing, I think the Ravens should re-sign Justin Houston to another 1 or 2 year deal. Like with the second year being like an option for the Ravens, so there's to help with the cap issue. But I think they should bring Justin Houston back to Baltimore next year because he really didn't have a full all season. Well, some of y'all might say he did, but he really didn't have a full off season because he was sitting on the street until about training camp. And I think a full off season to me is basically it starts in March where you have it so you on your own and you're doing other stuff. So. Yeah, so I mean, I guess, and then Mike MacDonald, the new defensive coordinator, help him out. Another scheme where it might be where last year it was like Wink relied on Justin Houston, Tyus Bowser, and Owe to do a lot of stuff, which is out of their fit, and it didn't look well because it was out of their fit. And when you got a pass rusher like Justin Houston, all he want to do is just pass the rusher. We had him like doing certain different stuff like sometimes I saw him in coverage. Like, why are you putting Justin Houston in coverage? And I want to see him be that guy. Tyus Bowser next. They need to figure out what they want to do with Tyus Bowser, because when Wink was here, he described Tyus Bowser as being a Swiss Army knife, and I understand the Swiss Army knife phrase where you can put him in you can put Tyus Bowser in coverage, you can put him as a pass rusher, and he can sniff out certain stuff. But he needed to have a distinct role here, because you need to use that Swiss Army knife in certain ways where you can be like, okay, let me get this done in this situation. When you play, like last year when we played the likes of Patrick Mahomes, who is it? Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, they and Joe Burrow and teams like that was airing us out. Even though our secondary wasn't that good, you want to use him in certain situations where it was like you got to do this, that, and the third, and get Tyus Bowser what he was paid for, which I think he was paid to be a pass rusher, where I think Mike MacDonald will sit here and tell you today he is a pass rusher, and he will try to develop Tyus Bowser into a pass rusher with a little bit of drop backs and covering the running backs out of the flats, little stunts and stuff like that. And one big need for me is for Tyus Bowser to be that guy, because we're gonna need, like, if they don't bring Justin Houston back, we're gonna need him to be that guy and bring pass rush to Baltimore, because that's what we paid him for. As you can see, the front four, the major key denominator is pass rush. Pass rush, pass rush, pass rush. And here in Baltimore, pass rush hasn't been a thing since Terrell Suggs left, basically. And we need that. I'm going to hint at it and I say it. Eric DeCosta, John Harbaugh, Dick Cass, and, Steve Bisciotti. Don't be afraid to be big spenders in the free agent market when you're looking for if you're looking for an interior pass rush, or you're looking for another pass rusher to go if you don't bring Justin Houston back. Don't be afraid to be a spender, because at the end of the day, you're in a window where you want to win now, and it's looking to me that the window, like I said the other day, the window is closing, because it's like you're about to pay a quarterback almost $20-something million a year. Almost 20, and it might skyrocket depending on what his contract extension will be. And you want to sit there and be like, okay, I want to work around the cap. So, like I said, I'm gonna get to that later when I talk about the cap, and I'm gonna bring it all back together. Like I said, don't be afraid to bring in another pass rusher, or or interior D lineman, or draft well. Draft well. Because pass rush, pass rush, pass rush. Next I'm gonna talk about the linebackers. There is a lot to say about the linebackers. First thing I'm gonna say is you need to figure out what Patrick Queen's role is here as a linebacker, because at the beginning of the season he didn't look very linebacker-ish, and he didn't look like the linebacker that I saw at LSU. You need to figure him out, because when he became like the will linebacker and he was like the one flying around, making tackles, he was excellent, because he was flying around doing what he wanted to do and do what he needed to do to get, make tackles and do stuff like this. Because early in the season with Patrick Queen is always, he's missing tackles, he can't coverage. There was comparisons from him to CJ Mosley that left here a few years ago. And the trend came back up where it was like, you need a linebacker that can cover for here in Baltimore. And here in Baltimore, if we can't cover like running backs and people like that in open space, and we missing tackles in open space, we aren't going to win many games, as we saw last year, where it hurt us early in the season, where we were missing a lot of tackles, and it was like we missing tackles, but what can we do? He had a 3-game stretch, like I said, where he was like that guy, where he was like, let me put the big boy pants on. I'm flying off from sideline to sideline. I'm hitting people left and right. I'm making tackles. Hey, Baltimore drafted me first round for this reason. Hey, I'm loving it. Me as a fan, I'm loving it. I'm like, all right, Patrick Queen, he got it. They found it with Patrick Queen. They found it. He's the high flyer. Let him roam around, fly, stop them runs that's coming on the outside through the A and B gaps when they get past the front four, and hitting people, lighting people up, and he brought that energy where he was like, I'm the energy now, because I want to see more of them. I want to see more of them tweets on Sunday afternoons after the game where he like, man, I had it today, man. I love y'all, man. One of my best games, man. I want to keep you doing that because that's what we drafted you in the first round for, to bring that energy and just have fun out there. Because basically, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's about having fun and winning Super Bowls and championships, stuff like that. Next thing, Pernell McPhee and all. Hey, nothing bad to say about him, man. Great veteran leadership and good veteran leadership. They did that thing. They did what they supposed to do here, man. They veterans. Help Patrick Queen do this and do that. They needed that guy to be like, hey, I got you. Just fly around. I'm gonna do this, that, and the third. Read the defense and be the quarterback of the defense. But if you ask me, I think the Ravens should go out in the free agent market and find a field general linebacker. I'm gonna use in Madden terms, but I'm gonna use Ravens need to go out there. Mike MacDonald need to go out there and tell them, hey, I need a field general linebacker where I can have Patrick Queen flying around the field all day for 60 minutes, having fun. Making tackles, blowing everybody up, and doing what we drafted him first round for a few years back. So that's what we need him for, man. You need some field general linebackers out there. I'm not sure who them field general linebackers are right now at this moment in time, but I'll figure out and let you know. But yeah, they need a field general linebacker that can sit up there and help Patrick Queen so he can do stuff like that. And what I mean by field general linebackers, he need to be the quarterback of the defense, which Pernell McPhee and I forgot the other guy's name. I forgot which they were. Where they were field generals for, holdover field generals where they can be like, all right, y'all need to do this, stunt here. Make sure you hit that gap, do this and do that. Make sure the front seven was okay and they ain't had no problems. And that's where most of the success came in the beginning of the season. So, I mean, after a couple games where they moved Patrick Queen from the mic to the wheel, he was flying around. Malik Harrison, not a lot good to say. His draft stock, where they drafted him at, isn't looking too good because they drafted you in the third round and you haven't lived up to it yet. Would I like to see you next year grow up to it? Yes, I would. Because I want to see you, because they brought you in here to be the thumper, basically, and Patrick Queen be the flyer, basically, what you're saying. I mean, basically what they brought him in here for, to be. So be that thumper. Get in the lab. Get in the gym. Keep looking at film. Keep getting better every day, man. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I say. Get better. Because that's all you can do, get better. And build young depth at linebacker, man. In the draft, just try to go out there and scout. Hope the personnel in the scouting department, shout out to Anthony Levine, go out there and scout some linebackers and stuff like that to be young up and coming pieces in here in Baltimore, so we can have depth at linebacker. So when like a Pernell McPhee get hurt, or Josh Bonds, that's his name, Josh Bonds get hurt, we wouldn't be okay. But I mean, we'll be okay because we know they can handle the business, and we can just, like I said, if Malik Harrison come and fill that void and be that veteran, which he will be next year, another veteran, he'll be all right. We wouldn't have that problem. Next, I'm gonna talk about the cornerbacks and safeties, well, basically secondary. We're getting cooked all year. That's all I'm gonna say. We were getting cooked all year from week 1 to week 18. Now, what? Well, am I gonna sit up here and blame injuries for it? No, but it had a small percentage to do with it because we didn't have our horses. Marcus Peters got hurt. Deshaun Elliott got hurt. Calais Campbell got hurt for a few games. I mean, I don't know. The secondary, yeah. Then at the end of the season, we were resorting to basically practice squad players. I hate to call them that because every player in the NFL are, they were put the work in to get there. But we put practice squad players and fourth stringers out there to play against people like Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, Ben Roethlisberger. Literally I can say Baker Mayfield, even though. But yeah, I mean, because these prolific offenses, the Bengals, these prolific offenses, they were killing us because we didn't have we had injuries. Then Anthony Avery got hurt, so it was like okay, then because it's just like a domino just fell. Like, but I'm not gonna solely blame injuries because you're pros at the end of the day, and you had to come in there and step in and do this, that, and the third. To do what you got to do to make your bucks every week. So yeah. I'm just going to piggyback because it was last year. He wasn't. He was here last year. Wink Martindale did a horrible job of manning the secondary last year when after Marlon Humphrey and Avery went down, because it was at times it was like, what are you doing, Wink? You had what's the guy named, the tall guy? I forgot his name. You had him when you played Chicago. You had him in zero coverage. Got beat on a double move. Westry, that's his name. Chris Westry. I'm sorry, Westry. He got beat on a double move in Chicago and almost lost us the game. It didn't look well. And like, why are you running cover zero when you're trying to win the game? And it just didn't look right. And then you had Joe Burrow come here in Baltimore and rip us for almost 400 yards passing, 500 yards passing in week, I think 16. When we went to Cincinnati. You just couldn't stop nobody in the fourth quarter. I don't know. I mean, it just wasn't an overall good look. I mean, am I mad that you gone, Wink? Yeah, but at the end of the day, I'm not mad at the same time because I mean, you shot yourself in the foot when you went up there and you did the stuff you doing that was long overdue. I mean, good wishes on. I'm not saying Wink was a bad coach. I'm just saying last year it was just the needle in the. I mean, it was just the time to pull a plug. Yeah. So yeah. So cornerbacks. As I highlighted right here, make your strongest position group stronger again by building depth. Last year, going into the 2021 season, it was talks about the Ravens being basically, had the best secondary in the league, a lot of depth back there. It was riches. It was so I mean it came back to bite us in the end. So I mean you had Sean Wade, you traded him to New England in the preseason, even though he probably wasn't making the team. Yeah, so I mean it was an embarrassment of riches. Well, we had a lot, then it became none, and then it was like, okay, what do we do now? And then I would have loved for them to go out there and sign like a decent like veteran out there, like a DeQuez Denard or somebody like that to come here in Baltimore and play for a couple weeks and get us over the hump and stuff like that. There was talks at the trade deadline where we could have traded for Xavier Howard, but I guess talks fell through because of money. The Ravens aren't. Historically aren't big spenders. Even though we've been in the league for 25 years, but I mean we haven't historically been big spenders. I mean they didn't want to kick out $2 million, or they didn't know where they could get $2 million from to take on Xavier Howard's contract. And I think that would have been a big plus because when Marlon went down, we basically didn't have another dominant cornerback that can be out there 24/7, running sideline to sideline, covering opposing teams' best receiver. And Xavier Howard would have been a great dude to do that if they would have took on his contract and found a way to make $2 million work for them. But hopefully he's an option for the Ravens in the offseason. So who knows? A lot of big plays. Led the league in big plays over 25 yards. Like I said, I'm not blaming injuries, but it is what it is. Where it was like a year of injuries and yeah, you couldn't make tackles and stuff like that. So then you got people getting beat on double moves. Then you got cornerbacks, fourth string cornerbacks that basically off the street don't know what the heck they doing. But I'm not gonna blame that solely on them. So that's neither here nor there. The key word for the secondary in 2022 is communication. As you heard, almost every press conference with Chuck Clark, whether it was Chuck Clark, which is the captain of the defense, Chuck Clark, Marlon Humphrey when he was there, Anthony Avery, John Harbaugh, communication. It was a lot of miscommunication in the secondary, and that's why a lot of the big plays happened because you had people running into each other, and then you had players not knowing what to do on defense and stuff like that, and then it was like, oh, the Ravens run base man coverage, basically they run man coverage 24/7. Wouldn't they blitz you and stuff like that? And Wink didn't really find a way to switch it up because I wanted them to basically go zone a little bit. and switch it up. So there's though, but when they did go zone, it confused them. And I think that's what kind of also shot Wink in the foot, where he didn't like implement a zone defense in the offseason where he can like have a piggyback on. But I mean, who knows? But yeah, zone coverage need to be a thing, Mike MacDonald, this year, where you implement a zone where they have to communicate, and basically the signals have to be better, where they communicate and they can hear it. And make it basically simple stupid, where you have signals where it was like, okay, I got it, let me do this, let's do that. Oh, Chuck Clark, you gonna cover the third half of the field, let me cover the short third, and get, and knock them out or whatever. But yeah, so communication is key for me personally. I don't know about y'all, but tell me what you think in the comments. Communication is going to be key in 2022 for me on how this defense is going to handle these receivers. Even though we plan a fourth place schedule, which will be kind of weak, but I'll take it to get you back. So communicate, and that starts with you, Chuck Clark. It starts with you, baby. I would like to see a scenario with Chuck Clark, with Marcus Peters restructure his contract to help the Ravens in the cap situation, so they can bring in another cornerback. Because I want to see Marlon move around, again. Because last year, when I think 2 years ago, he was great when he made All Pro. He was great in the slot, and when they had him in the slot, he could roam, and he could play the slot. And Marcus Peters and he had Jimmy Smith, a healthier Jimmy Smith playing on the outside, helping him out with a big body, stuff like that. And that's where Marlon Humphrey thrived at when he was in the slot. I mean, don't get me wrong, he can be a number outside receiver, because he is an outside cornerback, and he did strive out there as well. But I think his duty should be in the slot, with helping Tavon Young. Yeah, keep the duo of Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters intact, but also add outside piece where, like I just said, you can move. Because I would like to see it move Marlon in the slot, because I don't think Tavon Young is back next year. So you can move Marlon in the slot and have him play slot a lot, and have like I just mentioned, a Xavier Howard, or a Stephon Gilmore, or J.C. Jackson, from rumors that I've been hearing, or Carlton Davis. But I know the price might be a little high. But but like I said, bring them in to kind of hope to sign them to be outside cornerback, because I know Stephon Gilmore can still be a great man-to-man zone, man-to-man / zone corner here in Baltimore. J.C. Jackson was highly talked, because he was one of the best cornerbacks this year in the NFL, and from New England. I don't know if the Ravens are willing to spend a lot of money, and but they should, to bring the secondary back to what it was. Because there should be a lot of money spent on this defense. I'm gonna say that, in the offensive line and the interior pass rush. But like I said, don't be afraid to spend money on a quality free agent. If they're there at the right price, don't be afraid to go out there and spend it. There has been because I would like some or a free safety, because you never know, Deshaun Elliott might not be back. I mean, if Deshaun Elliott is back, it might be on like a friendly deal, because he has had a lot of injury issues over the years. So I mean, that plays a major role in how he do things. So who knows? But I would love to see Deshaun Elliott here back in Baltimore, because I like doing this on Sundays when he make a sack, the little Joker animation and stuff like that. I really like that. But if he isn't back, I would like to see them be big spenders on cough, Tyrann Mathieu. So, yeah, because I would like him, and and Tyrann Mathieu will fit this defense very well, because he can be that hybrid, type of linebacker / free safety, the knockout certain stuff, and him and Chuck Clark would possibly be a great, decent duo back there, if Deshaun Elliott isn't back. But I'm praying for Deshaun Elliott to come back to Baltimore. Overall, man, all I'm gonna say is, Mike MacDonald, like I said, congratulations, welcome to Baltimore. It's your time now here in Baltimore as a defensive coordinator. I want to see what Mike MacDonald going to bring to the defensive table, to being our defensive coordinator. If he makes any switches to the defensive coaching staff, like the linebackers, the secondary coach, or whatever, I want to see what he does there. Ravens defense just need to overall just basically at this point just revamp the front seven a little bit, then help yourself so that though we won't be going through this next year, 2022. Because I do want to play in January. I want everybody to be back on our horses, but I mean at the end of the day I don't, because I like being an underdog, and we were. And this defense, I mean, did what they can this year in 2021 to do what they can to try to get us in the playoffs. But I mean, we just fell short. So I'm not really gonna get mad because I knew the outcome. It was like it is what it is at this point. So and basically from basically the last 4 teams that's in the basically the final 4 that's in the championship games, they all have great. Basically, I'm gonna say it. Great They can rush the passer, or I'm gonna say the elite 8 in the NFL that was the last 8 teams in the playoff. They can rush the passer pretty well, and that's why they got there, because they can they can rush the passer. I mean, they can rush the quarterback. They can play out in space, and they don't got to worry about the corners in secondary. Don't got to worry about playing backyard football for like 10 to 15 seconds, because that is a long time to be playing when you got the quarterback rolling out of the pocket and stuff like that, trying to do certain stuff. Yeah, so I mean that's all I'm gonna say, man. Just look at what the blueprint that the last 8 teams have put here in the playoffs, and let's just see how you can implement what the last 8 teams did in the NFL to get to where they are in the playoffs. And let's get it rolling in 2022, Mike MacDonald. Hey, like I said, I'm going to say it one more time. Congratulations on being the new defensive coordinator here in Baltimore, and let's get it rolling. That's all I got for you guys today. I think tomorrow I'm going to have another video out on, I don't know yet, I'm not sure yet, but I'll have another video out probably tomorrow, if not tomorrow, Monday. So, hey, with that being said, man, make sure you drop a comment. If you comment in the comment section, like, and subscribe to the channel, man. Any suggestions you got, any feedback or whatever you got, just make sure you drop it in the comments. I'm willing to take all criticism and stuff like that. Hey, I'm here. All right, anything you guys say positive that can add on to what I just said today, drop it in the comments, man. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, man. Hey, and we all here, man. All Ravens related, NFL news, and everything like that. Hey, let's go. See you later. RavensFlock.